It's time now for our focus report. We're going to head now to West Africa, specifically to Ivory Coast, where in 2010 a disputed election sparked a civil war. This as rival supporters of Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara clashed for weeks, leaving hundreds of people dead. Well, 8 years on, tensions are mounting once again. Well, a France 24 team on the ground filed this report.
This road links the flashpoints of the crisis that has gripped Ivory Coast for a decade. Once highly militarised, the road from the former rebel stronghold Bouaké to the former loyalist stronghold Abidjan is once again a commercial corridor, one that links Ivory Coast to neighbouring Mali and Burkina Faso. Toll booths have replaced the checkpoints. We follow it from north to south to get a sense of the state of reconciliation among the people it connects. Bouaké, its population of 1.5 million, makes it the second largest city. It was held by rebels from 2002, the beginning of the crises. Today, victims and former fighters live side by side. Adama took up arms in 2002 in order, he explains, to regain his dignity.
Identity cards didn't mean anything. It was your name that mattered. If your name was Gune, Ouattara, they would label you a Guinean, Burkinabe, or Malian, but not an Ivorian.
This barring of a large part of the population from voting led to violence. Now that armed conflict has given way to that more familiar battle, politics. Candidates are on the campaign trail. Adama now makes ends meet with casual labour, and tonight's job is to help protect the mayor. A member of the ruling RHDP party, he's standing for re-election.
Our RHDP party means peace and stability. Peace and stability is so vital to Ivory Coast so that our country, our beautiful country, can develop and emerge.
Ever since the end of the crisis, politicians of all stripes have laboured the terms peace, stability and reconciliation. Reconciliation was made a national priority by President Alassane Ouattara, but the coalition which has led the country since the crisis ended in 2011 and which saw it through the 2015 elections fell apart this summer. Political discourse is now less about unity and becoming increasingly polarised. Back on the road, heavily potholed but patched up like the country it serves. Next stop, Tiébisu, a town which saw its fair share of conflict. The UN's buffer zone, the so-called Zone of Trust, which split the country in two after the Civil War, passed through here.
The loyalists were here and the rebels on the other side. Basically, crossing the bridge over there meant going straight into the rebel zone.
Residents would find themselves caught in the crossfire. Silla lost his brother, and when fighting escalated, the family would flee.
When we ran away, our sheep were left behind, our chickens were left behind. We left everything behind and they took it all.
The they, Silla mentions, were his neighbours. Though small, Tiébisu is mixed, and so home to all the political leanings and religious beliefs seen nationwide.
We must go forward. So we came back to sit together, to live together. We made peace. And now we love one another as we did before, because our parents and grandparents, they had always lived side by side.
People have no choice but to live together, especially in towns and villages. In the majority of places, as in Tiébisu, the people want a clean slate. Our last stop, Abidjan, the economic capital. Its Abobo district is home to hundreds of victims and combatants, and the reconciliation process has had to follow two paths. First, compensation for the victims. The authorities say they're making progress with the scheme, albeit with delays. Then justice. And here Ivory Coast president has made a clear choice to grant amnesty to civilians linked to crimes associated with the post-electoral crisis.
No one's going to accept having a parent in prison while at the same time talking about reconciliation. That wouldn't be true reconciliation. But now this amnesty process is underway. We believe we've taken a step forward.
Victims from both sides have come together, and the whole is in agreement. All speak of reconciliation, all want reconciliation. Free to speak their minds, tensions soon re-emerge. This resident of a Christian area of Abidjan recalls the abuses against relatives allegedly committed by rebel forces.
They dragged him somewhere, killed him, slit his throat, and his cousin, they butchered him in his house, and then they just shut the door.
According to Monique, some Dioula, a people originally from the north, continue their persecution.
The young Dioula are always telling us that what we suffered is nothing compared to what could happen, that we should be happy about what happened to us last time. But if that's what they really want, they'll just have to kill us. Otherwise, we're ready to go ahead with reconciliation. But if you can get the message to them, tell them, we just want to be left alone.
It's difficult to capture an overview of the state of reconciliation in a country made up of so many different groups. For victims on all sides, no amount of compensation can make up for the loss of a relative, and so perhaps only time can heal these wounds, as long as nothing else comes along to reopen them.